Hello. Now I'm going to kick off this video by ditching British Reserve, false modesty and all that, because this video is the most useful one that you will watch to help tackle the anthology poetry question for Edexcel GCSE Literature. If you're doing the relationship section, this video is going to give you a real edge, a proper fighting advantage in the exam hall. Now, I'm not too clever when it comes to building work or DIY. I can just about rewire a plug or change a tap washer. But I do know what a touchstone is. It's a brick, a central brick that connects to all the other bricks that surround it. And you might be thinking, well, that's all very interesting, Mr. Taylor, with your touchstones. But why are you bringing the language of the building site into a video about relationship poetry? Well, here's the money shot. Unclog your ears, listen up. My Last Duchess is a touchstone poem. Like a touchstone connects all of the bricks, My Last Duchess connects to most, if not all, of the themes that could pop up in the exam question. Now, the poem, as you know, is a Victorian poem, although it's set in Renaissance Italy, and you've got the narrator, this snotty duke, and he implies that he's killed his pretty young wife because he didn't like her lively personality. He thought it was improper, showed a lack of respect for his noble status. Hold on, Mr. Taylor. Before you get too carried away with yourself, perhaps a note of caution is advisable here, because I'm not daft enough to say I know what exam question is going to be on that paper. I don't want to be wallpapering my house with death threats from angry students that have misled. My point is that to a lesser or greater extent, My Last Duchess links to nearly all questions that an examiner could set. So knowledge of this poem is a really handy thing to have in your weaponry for tackling relationship questions. Is it always the best poem to use? No. The 2017 question was on romance. Now, as I'll show you, you could have used My Last Duchess, but frankly, there are better poems you could use there. And all we need to stick it to the examiner are these three pifflingly small details. 2 quotations and a fact. That's all the ammunition we need to roll with in the exam. I'll lay out a brief explanation of the 3. I gave commands, then all smiles stopped. This is where, of course, the Duke is inferring or implying that he's had his wife killed. At the end, he refers to a statue. Notice Neptune taming a seahorse. This can be symbolic of the relationship, as we'll see. And iambic pentameter is just 10 beats a line. The poem is predominantly written in that form. Hopefully, you've a fast mind and a sharp pencil, because you're going to need them as I burn through this slide, analysing techniques. So we've got all smiles stopped. You've got the alliteration there of the S, the sibilance, which I think creates a harsh tone. Really captures the coldness or cruelty of the man. You've also got the fact that this is euphemism. He's not saying it's a fair cop, gov, I killed the witch. It's indirect, it's vague communication. He's using euphemism to avoid being explicit, to maintain his status. You've got the statue. Notice Neptune. This is an order. He's given an order to an unseen listener. Again, that's telegraphing his power, his status, the fact that he likes to be in control. And of course, this statue of the Neptune god taming the seahorse, that is symbolic of the whole relationship. There he is, giving himself a god complex, likening himself to Neptune, the sea god. And of course, linking his wife to a seahorse, linking her to an animal, he's dehumanising her, he's objectifying her, shows his contempt and lack of respect for her. As for iambic pentameter, I'm going to save that for later. I'm going to show you a slide shortly where you'll see I've moulded 3 different responses according to 3 questions, all based on this technique of iambic pentameter. Now, the first theme that My Last Duchess connects with is family relationships, and I could very easily see this one popping up in the exam question as the named theme. After all, so many poems in the relationships anthology, like Nettles, My Father Would Not Show Us, that Sick Grandfather one, they all link to the parent-child relationship. See my picture, bottom right, me and my daughter. Don't know why I'm walking like that. I guess I should have gone before I left the house. But family can conceivably incorporate marriage as well. So it's fair game to consider My Last Duchess when you're looking at family relationships. Next theme up is romantic relationships, and I believe the 2017 exam question focused on romance. Any poem that explores marriage then in the relationships cluster is sort of like double bubble. Whether you're looking at family relationships or romantic relationships, irrespective of the sort of relationship it is, you can roll out My Last Duchess with its dynamic between husband and wife. Third up, we've got positive relationships. strong bonds, happiness, passionate relationships, anything relating to this could very much find its way onto an exam question. Sure, Mr. Taylor, but I'm not sure My Last Duchess will be my immediate go-to for an exam question on this theme, positive relationships. I mean, what's positive about some snotty toff killing a lassie because she's got spirit and vitality? I agree with you, but you'll see shortly how you could link My Last Duchess to this idea of positive relationships. It's no perfect fit, it's no Cinderella's slipper, I'll grant you, but it is manageable. Negative relationships is our fourth theme that might creep onto an exam paper. Weak relationships, relationships that are ending or characterised by violence or control, we can yoke these together under the banner of negative relationships. I mean, if you've got conflict, if you've got tension or friction in a poem's portrayal of relationships, you can link it to My Last Duchess. Look at the Duke, a bully, a control freak, blinded by pride to his wife's warmer qualities. Why have I got a naff picture of Darth Vader? Because, of course, negative relationships explore the dark side of love. You know, what they don't show the tourists when love gets hard or awkward or unpleasant. The final theme that might worm its way onto that exam paper is the idea of changing relationships. Generally, in these relationships poems in the anthology, that change will go from positive to negative as relationships decline or deteriorate. Sometimes though, and you could argue in Manhunt this is the case, relationships go the other way and you move from a dark negative place to one of hope and positivity. Very shortly we're going to show how My Last Duchess addresses this idea of changing relationships. This should be pretty familiar to you by now. It's roughly the framework that the anthology poetry question will take. Reread, insert whatever name poem it is, choose one other poem from the relationships anthology. Compare how, insert the theme, we've looked at 5 haven't we, is presented in the 2 poems. In your answer you must consider the poet's use of language, form and structure, the influence of the context in which these poems were written. And as I've shown, probable themes ripe for inclusion in an exam question are recapped below. They all link to My Last Duchess. Now I've circled 3 of them: family relationships, positive relationships and changing relationships. Now these 3 are circled because I'm going to be showing you paragraphs now that, with a few little tweaks to the same basic idea, or in some cases slightly more advanced idea, are tailored to suit whatever question is set.
Hang on a sec. Hold fire, Mr. Taylor. You buck-toothed buffoon. You jugged doofus. There's another theme you've not looked at. Another type of relationship that slipped right under your big bashed up nose.
Oh yeah, what about friendship, eh? Surely an exam question could focus on relationships between friends, not just blood relatives and lovers. Well, that's a good point, but it's unlikely. I mean, only a complaint in the relationships cluster really addresses the theme of friendship. I mean, it's on its own on that score. I'm not saying it won't come up, I'm not Mystic Meg, but it seems unlikely to me. Of course, if the question was about close relationships, then you could look at the friendship in a complaint as easily as any other close family or romantic relationship. And as we draw to the end of this video, I'm going to leave you with a stunning gift. I mean, you won't need the receipt on this one, trust me, it's a keeper. Over the next few slides, I'm going to show you how to take intelligent points, ideas and analysis about the quotations, the iambic pentameter that we've looked at, and how to adjust or tweak our ideas to accommodate 3 different questions. One on the theme of change, one on the theme of family, and one on the theme of strong bonds or positive relationships. Now this is a free gift, you don't owe me boost. However, if this video does help you, you might consider blowing £1 or $1 on my excellent book on descriptive or imaginative writing, which is available on Amazon by following the link in the description box. It's a great short book, just check out the reviews and it'll really help you with your language exam. But anyway, back to business, back to My Last Duchess. Right then, peruse this paragraph at your convenience. You'll see it addresses the question about change relationships, and I've employed the orange highlighter just so you can see where I explicitly address that named theme, change relationships, from the question. You'll see I've got deep analysis there. I've looked at the sibilants, the alliteration of that S sound, I've also looked at the effect of the euphemism too, and I've grafted on a beautifully written contextual link to round things off. Why have I put then in pink highlighter? Well, I think this is a great word at the end of a paragraph just to link back to the questions, and the word that kind of lends itself to summarising. Now then, new question, family relationships this time, but damn near identical paragraph to the one you just saw. This time, use the yellow highlighter so you can see where I've tweaked, reshaped, moulded the response to answer this question, to respond to this theme. And finally, a question addressing the theme of strong relationships. Again, use the underlined bits just so you can appreciate the changes I've made in light of the question. Why I've highlighted underneath the lines as opposed to through the lines this time, the good Lord only knows. Now I grant you, it is harder to link My Last Duchess to this theme of strong or positive relationships, but it's not impossible, as you can see for yourself. And I'll bow out with this one, the real jewel in the crown, the cocktail umbrella in the pina colada. We've taken the structural or formal feature of iambic pentameter, and I've shown here 3 options for carrying on this exam response depending on the question. Was the question focusing on the theme of change, that's the one in orange, family, that's the one in yellow, or positive or strong relationships, that's the one in green. Have a good gulp. A last lingering look at a touchstone, the building block of my argument, you might say. And we're done, folks. It's final curtain time. Any one of those themes that we've cited, perhaps more than one, will be addressed in the exam. Close relationships, say, if that theme popped up, well, anything to do with family or romance or positive relationships would very fruitfully link to that. Similarly, if it was one on strong emotions, I think all of them, the box set, all 5 of those themes would very fruitfully engage with the question. In other words then, My Last Duchess is a go-to poem. You've always got it in the bank, in reserve, to link to any theme or almost any question that bobs up. And as I take my bow, know this, I'm not a fan of that keep calm motto. I think it encourages apathy and passivity in the face of injustice. What, we're going to keep calm and ignore the housing crisis? Keep calm and forget about famines and wars and inequality? No. Sometimes it's okay to lose your calm, to get angry, to get invigorated. But you know what? In that exam, I don't want you worrying. I don't want you panicking. I want you to keep calm. That way you'll produce your best results. You are better prepared for this exam than you know. You can do this. Know that and take that confidence into the exam with you. Do the business. You know you've got My Last Duchess in the back pocket if you need it. Best of luck to you.